Connection also sponsors over 100 of your matches every single year. So when it comes to finding everything you need to compete as a beginner or a seasoned grandmaster, Shooters Connection is the only name you need to know. Online at shootersconnectionstore.com.
Welcome back, finally, after a bit of a hiatus to the Hit Factor podcast. I'm Jeremy. He's Potato. He's Jeffrey Cawthon. We're back from Area 3. That's why we missed last week. We were driving back on our normal day to record, and so we did not record that night. We had spent time with family instead. So sorry about the delay, but we are back, and we are here to talk about all things Area 3. We had our foot race. We had the single stack race. Limited had their race. There was other drama at Area 3 going on with some area directors and other characters. And so we got all sorts of stuff happening at Area 3, which is great for us to talk about. Jeff, do we want to dive into the foot race first, since that was like it's really probably the highlight of the weekend, was the foot race?
No, I mean, that was pretty great.
Jeff's
pretty great.
Jeff's internet's going to be pretty laggy tonight. So, yeah, so the foot race. First, we had to find a place to actually run, which was actually apparently in, whoever's clickety-clackety keyboard, that is obnoxious. Oh, my goodness. But who in Grand Island, Nebraska, they do not want you running there. Like they're morally opposed to you running at all there, because we went to every track in that town. Like we just doing Google search after Google search, and they were, not only did they have fences around all of them, most of them had barbed wire fences around the top of them. Like they are going to keep you off of that track. They want them corn-fed boys to stay corn-fed. They don't want them to slim up. And so we had one last Hail Mary at this deal. We're driving around the night before we're supposed to go run, and we drive up to it was a Catholic middle school. I don't know. And so they had their gates near their their equipment barn were all open. And so this was at like 8:30 on Friday night. We're like, man, there's almost no way somebody's going to come close these before the next day. So we should be fine. Which also we had, I didn't say it here, but we've said in the past, we did have a film crew with us, Mr. Cliff, who's not here, but Cliff was there with us as our videographer, videographing all of this stuff. So we're going to have footage and a video coming out. I needed to make sure I said that. But anyway, so we get there Saturday morning. We wake up, and Mid-Pack Mike is there. He shot Area 3. He's there. And another Discord guy came there to be in the audience. And I don't actually remember what his actual name is, but on Discord he's T Kemp. I assume WI is for Wisconsin. I think he's from Wisconsin. So he was there.
Oh, that's the other guy that was at the track?
Yeah. He was on the Discord. So we had some people there. So anyway, we show up at like 7:15, and as we're driving up, there's a ton of cars in the parking lot, and there's all these junior high kids dressed up in football gear, and they're all like on their way out to the field. It's like, oh no. At first I was just like, okay, they're just having a practice. Like, okay, no big deal. It's just gonna be kids there. And so we kind of coach. We just park there. There's coaches walking around as we find a coach. Like, hey, do y'all mind if we run on the track? Like, oh no, get after it. Go for it. Like, okay, cool. Well, we're kind of there and we're warming up, and the stands start to like fill up, and there's like a bunch of parents and grandparents and stuff like that there. There was, at one point there was one out just standing on the track watching. Apparently this was like a scrimmage between a couple of different schools. And so it was just a little awkward. Like, what are these old middle-aged people doing on this track? Like, trying to kill themselves running when there's a junior high football scrimmage practice thing going on. But we got past it.
It's only awkward if you make it awkward, Jeremy.
Jeff wanted to turn around and go somewhere else. He was like, "Yeah, let's just go find somewhere different." It's like, no, we'll just do it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's
it won't
my
be too weird.
So
Yeah. So we raced the 100, the 400, the 1600, and look, I'm not going to say that Jeff's a cheater, but he definitely he was trying. We get there. First, he brings out this oxygen bottle thing, and he's taking shots of oxygen like the whole time. I mean, and I don't even know if it's oxygen.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something else that's in it. He's taking all sorts of
might have been
pre-workout supplements with all sorts of stuff to just hype him up and get him going. He looked pretty jittery, is what I saw. And then we're about to start the 100, and then what does he do? Like, what does he pop out? And he's hidden it the whole time. He's hidden it in my car. He's hidden it on the way to the track. He's hidden it at the track. And he has this like T-shirt that he pulls out. And inside this T-shirt, Jeff has gone on to Facebook Marketplace and he has bought some track shoes, track spikes, whatever you call them. I don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
And so he had great traction on the track for sure for the 100. So yeah, we raced 100. I did not expect to do well in the 100. Jeff had more confidence there, and Jeff, pure sprinting speed. Yeah, Jeff was faster than I was. You were like a 12.5, basically, like a 12.5. Oh no, sorry, you were like a 12.9. On
12.9. Yeah,
12.9 something on the 100. I was 13.5. And I mean, in all honesty, like if you just told me, hey, you can have a 13.5, okay, that seems like decent enough for me. I think it was the track spikes. I think that was probably where the difference was. Without those, I don't think it would have been.
If we need to run it back, we can run it back.
Oh, he says
the
that
track
now.
Spikes. Yeah. No, the track spikes were awesome though. That was the first time I put track spikes on. That was fun.
Was it?
But 100 meters, like, that's basically the only type of running that I enjoy. Like at this point, like I can see I'll get to the point where I enjoy running a little more, but my whole life I've never been a distance runner. Never liked running distance. And yes, 1 mile is distance. But 100 meter, like, oh dude, I would live for that sprint. That was so fun.
That's definitely my least favorite to run. So that was expected.
So you expected that, but you guys ran it simultaneously?
Yes.
Who gave the start?
Yeah, side by side.
So how did we do that? Was it audible or was it visible?
It was visible. So Mike Dixon, who was there, he like stood beside us and like did an arm gesture, like
that's right,
dropped his arm.
Yeah.
And so Brett was down at the finish line also watching the visual, and when he watched Mike drop his arm, he hit the timer to start.
So like it's not gonna count for official world record times. Like we won't be able to go in the books. I feel like probably the timing of that probably wouldn't meet official standards, but good enough. It should. I feel like it should have counted for world record stuff, but you know.
I don't think it would matter if it did.
It might. I feel like
I was happy with that time. I thought it was awesome.
Well, and then you guys went into the 400, and this is such a philosophical difference between the two of you. So I'm going to tee this up for you because it's fascinating to me. Because you knew what your 400 time was, Jeremy. You didn't know what it was racing Jeff, but you knew what like a 400 time for you was. You'd run a couple of 400s, and you had a sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeff had no idea. All
Right.
he'd done is run up and down hills with like weird, clunky, like hiking shoes. So he had no idea what his 400 time was, but he knew it would be good. Like you had actual data, and you're like, maybe I'll get a second. Maybe I'll get 2 seconds from like the heat of battle. But Jeff, he had no idea. He just had like raw Jeff belief.
Yeah, he had belief in himself that he was going to be able to suffer through the 400, and so we started that. He was in the 3 lane, I was in the 4 lane, and so we decided we're going to stay in the same lane for the whole track. Which maybe that was a strategy on Jeff's part, because he actually stole what I wanted to do for the 400. But since he started in the 3 lane, he was behind me to start, and then we had to stay in those same lanes, which he did cheat, by the way. I saw him jumping lanes behind me, so he cut off some distance there. I could see your shadow. I could see you cutting lanes.
If only there was video of all of this.
Right? We have video. We'll know. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out. But so the 400, look, Jeff ran a fantastic 400. Like Jeff's time in the 400 was shocking to me. Like I'm just going to say it. Like he did better than I think he did way better than even he thought he could do. To be completely honest.
67.5, 67.54 or something?
Yeah, he was 67 and a half.
67.2 is what 67.28. But what's funny is Brett said the times when we finished, and I swear, in my head I heard 70, like 70 and change. So
really?
Finished, I was like, okay. So that's why at the end, after the mile, when he comes over and we're in the camera and he's like giving the times and he says 67 and he says it, and I'm like, what? I ran a 67, so I didn't even know it till like quite a bit later that I'd run a 67.
Yeah. That's actually funny. I mean, I knew that we were in the sub 70. So we're running that, and I'm in front. I'm setting the pace, and I'm setting a pretty decent pace for the first part, but it's it's nothing. It's not crazy, and I can just hear Jeff breathing behind me. Right, it's like freaking Darth Vader's back there behind you breathing. He's huffing. He's puffing.
It's so bad, dude.
And so I'm kind of in cruise mode. You're just in full on just a really nice stride at the start, and at probably at 250 meter mark, I kind of kicked up the pace just a little bit. See, okay, is he gonna stay with me? And he did. And then at the 300, the 325 mark, I picked up the pace a little bit more, and I'm expecting him to be gassed. I'm expecting him to not keep up. And then that oxygen was working, those track spikes were working, and his pre-workout kicked in. I don't know what it was, just pure hate. I think it was pure hate, and he didn't want to lose. And here he comes, and he actually passed me there on the last 50 yards. It was something like 50, 60 yards. And I didn't catch him.
Yeah.
So he used that raw sprinting speed, and he still had enough in the tank on the 400.
You had to hear it, dude. Like when we made that last turn, I started sucking air so much faster. I was
the grunting, the grunting, the breathing, all of it. I mean, it was a little unnerving, to be honest. It was almost like I'm running from a grizzly bear here. Like there's something happening behind me.
Right. Like there was no that sprint that I took off on the last part of the 400. There was no hiding. There was no hiding that I was going to go faster. It was like I was sucking air and then I went faster. It was like you had to know it was coming, because it was like 5 to 10 seconds before I started running. I was like,
oh, I was impressed. I was perfectly, again, I ran a 67.9 or something like that. It was sub 68, and I was like, okay, that's a pretty solid 400. I'd be fine with that there. So, but Jeff, him being a half second faster basically on that was surprising. I was surprised that he pulled that out. And then we got to the mile, and we had about a 15-minute break, and Jeff is still breathing pretty hard. Like, I don't think his breathing had come down all the way yet. But it's like, okay, when are we going to start this? We got to get going at some point. We got to get this going.
Yeah, I did not want to start that mile, dude. Like, there was a lot of profanity when it was like, all right, Jeff, it's been 15 minutes. I was like, oh. And then, they just started flowing. I was like, all right, let's just go. This is going to suck so bad. And honestly, the mile, like, just getting myself to start that mile run, like, that zapped me, like, mentally for the day, dude. I was like,
for the day
after, like, no, I'm not joking. Like, after having to push myself to do that run, because I wanted so badly not to do that run. When we finished that, I was like, I don't really know how I'm gonna shoot today. That, like, my mind is fucked. That was bad.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So then, from my perspective, again, I kind of jump out in the lead on the mile, and it just kind of setting the pace. I was setting a fairly conservative pace the first 2 laps, and Jeff stayed with me the first couple laps. Again, I was I was at like probably a 6:45 average for the first 2 laps, if that, like, putting it out to a mile, if that was my pace. And Jeff was right there. I could hear him. I hear this grizzly bear back behind me breathing down my neck. And I'm sitting, part of me's thinking after 800 is like, this freaking guy's gonna, like, he's gonna suffer his way.
The mile too.
he's gonna suffer his way through this, like, beat his mile PR by forever. And I was a little bit worried after the first 800.
It's like he's sucking air, but apparently that doesn't matter.
He's sucking air, but I'm just thinking he's just gonna suffer through it. And so then the third lap, I kick it up just a little bit, and I could kind of slowly hear him fade in the background. Which, by the way, our first lap of the mile, the parents that were watching the football game going on started talking to us and like, hey, you need to go faster, pick it up, boys, and that sort of stuff. So that was helpful. That was good.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, Cliff, he had us mic'd up for the whole time we were at the track. Yeah, he said my breathing was pretty ridiculous.
And so then the final quarter and really the last 200, I just took off. I actually ran the last 200 was actually a good pace. My pace was sub 5 minute. No, sub 6 minute on the last 200.
Yeah, you caught your breath during that run and was able to speed up, and I lost my breath as I was running. So by that last lap, like, it was all I could do to keep running. All I could do.
Yeah, and so then at the end, Jeff just collapses as soon as he passes the finish line. And he was
I've got
roasted.
a great photograph of that Mike sent me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it ended up the way we did it with our run factor scoring. Jeff had about 15 seconds. He had 15 seconds that he needed to be within 15 seconds of my time on the mile in order to get the win for the running portion of it. And
which means I would have had to run at 6:45.
Yeah. And if you had run a
6:44.
6:40, you would have had to do better than a 6:45 because if you had been that fast, I think I would have been faster. Because I was actually disappointed. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in my mile because I had more in the tank at the end.
You predicted your mile time to the second.
Yeah, I hit that pretty freaking close.
No, to the second.
Oh, really?
The head.
I was 6:29
Yes.
was my guess time. Oh wow.
Yes.
That's kind of crazy. And huge shout out to Mid-Pack Mike because, dude, this guy was there. He had a place picked out. If we couldn't find a track, he had already like Googled a place that was in exactly a half mile on fairly level surface that we could have gone run at. We get to his rental car, because he flew in from California, and he brought with him one of those little wheel things that like tell you like exact distance and stuff. He had put that in his luggage to take with him. That way, in case we had to lay something out with specific measurements, he had that with him. It was great. It was awesome having him there, and the other guy from the Discord there too. Was fantastic. Brett was a really big help having there for the timing and keeping track of all that. His math is not good.
But the pep talking, I mean, Brett was there to pump us up too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Brett's awesome.
So, how much of a penalty do you think your match paid for the running race? If you just threw a number out, the first number that comes to your head. 5%?
I don't know, because it's just a penalty on the first, really just the last half of the first day, and it's hard to even say if that was related. Like, I want to blame it on.
Well, you said you were mentally completely tapped out. That you used all of your willpower to convince yourself to run the mile for the rest of the day. You did say that, I don't know, 5 minutes ago.
I know, I say that, but I still came out and started the match the same as I always do. So
pretty
that's
strong.
Where I'm like,
your first couple stages were.
Yeah, so it's hard to say since I started the match the same as I always do. So did it really have an effect, or who knows, man? Who knows?
What about you, Jeremy?
I wouldn't take anything off of my match performance based on the race. We
you
ran
have your trophy, Jeremy?
Not here, not in my. No.
What the hell?
I don't have it. I should have had it just to show off for Mike. I wish that, dude. Your internet's so slow and blurry that I see a finger, but that's it.
This is my Area 3 plaque. I have it on display here. They'll be able to see it in the real.
Oh, okay.
You just can't see it on the recording.
Okay. I bet it looks great.
I'm disappointed you don't have your running trophy that Mike made for you.
That's my fault, Mike. I'm sorry. I should have had it to show off for Mike's sake, because he went to great lengths to get that for us.
No, that was awesome. He showed up and had the trophy.
It was awesome.
It was incredible.
That was honestly that was actually, even Jeff, as much as he hated. That's true. Mike just logged into the chat. He said 8 people have an Area 3 trophy. I'm the only one that has an Area 3 running trophy. And that's true. I have the most unique Area 3 trophy ever made. So huge props to Mike for that. We'll send out a picture to the Discord if we haven't already. We'll send a picture onto the Discord for that. But I think even as much as Jeff hated that mile, the race was actually fun. It was just it was just fun from that standpoint. So even if it had an effect on our match, I'm not at all sad that we did it. I thought it was just it was just fun. It was something to do. It was entertaining. It was motivating for a workout. I'm gonna actually see if I can break my I've yet to break a 6-minute mile. But I haven't tried for an actual mile time because all my training up to this deal was running quarters and stuff. I wasn't like running just a mile. So I'm going to try to see if I can break that. See if this training's got me where I can break that 6-minute mile pace, which should be good. And then I'll move on to something else.
Yeah.
5-minute
I bet
mile.
you can do it.
No, dude, the amount of work that would go into running.
That's
even
like 2 years. 2
Yeah.
years of your life. You'd give up for that.
Yeah, even going like sub 5.5 would be a crazy amount of effort to do that. No, if I can break 6 minutes on my mile, I will move on to. I want a sub 21 5K. I think that's perfectly doable. I think like right now my record's like my PR is like 21:45 or 47 or something like that, and I think I can get that off of there. Not easily, but I think I can beat that. Yeah, Billy's saying it's way harder when you're old. Yes. How old are you, Jeff, by the way? 32?
33.
33? Yeah, so I got 5 years on him. So I feel like that, like I should almost have gotten some extra percentages on these races.
5 years of experience, Jeremy.
Of experience. Yeah. So this whole race thing started because I called Jeff slow. And I will eat my words. Jeff is not slow. His distance
really
running.
Should stop saying things to Jeff because you just make him stronger. Every time you're mean to him, you make him stronger.
It's true.
You would like be beating him at every match you go to if you were just kind to him.
He feeds on that stuff. It's crazy. I've never seen. It's this loot goblin thing, right? Like it's just part of being a loot goblin.
You just gave up another 0.25% at nationals when you called him Luke Goblin again.
So yeah, Jeff is not slow. He is terrible at distance running.
Always have been.
I'm gonna see if I can get him. I'm gonna get him to just try to beat me on a 5K. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. If I keep running, I might be up for something like that. I definitely don't want to like pick up running to train for something like that. But if I keep running in the rotation and I'm like comfortably can run like 5 miles and it's not a big deal, then yeah, possibly.
Well, the next competition, we've already decided this because Jeff has already challenged me to it. I think it was a mistake on his part.
Did he really challenge you to tennis?
Yes.
I bet you do.
He has zero chance.
He has challenged me to a tennis match.
Sorry.
And
have you seen Jeremy play tennis?
I just know he played high school tennis and he's taller than you, and those two facts alone suggest.
Oh. Have you seen this man's physique?
Can you play tennis, Jeff?
Crushed.
Can you play tennis, Jeff?
Yeah, I played tennis in high school.
Oh, did you?
He was homeschooled, so they played everything.
Hey, Jeremy, homeschoolers are people too.
I didn't say that they weren't people.
Also, Billy, I am a badass at table tennis.
Actually, that I will challenge any of you all to.
Okay, then we're gonna have to meet up, and we got to find a VRBO that has a ping pong table.
Be fun. Yeah.
Potato, come to nationals. We'll find a VRBO that has ping pong and.
Great, I'll shoot limited optics.
Oh, jeez.
It's the week of my moose hunt, so there's no way I'm going to nationals.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
That was a common topic while at Area 3. We were constantly checking national signups to see how many people had dropped and gone over to limited optics and how that was going.
Is it up over 100 now?
I actually don't know. I haven't checked it since we got back, I don't think. But
it was like 85 or something. That weekend.
It was in the 90s earlier this week. Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be over 100 soon if it's not So that happened at Area 3. We won't get huge into it, but so we can do a little reaction because we were driving, and I get an email. I'm the one driving, and I see this email pop across my screen. It says, "Opportunity for you guys from USPSA. You can shoot your optics gun at Iron Sight Nationals."
Opportunity? Excuse
yeah.
me. Who doesn't like more opportunities? Are you
Exactly.
anti-opportunity?
Yes, I am. We need to restrict the amount of opportunities that people have. So, okay, you guys, anything else on the race? We got the race covered. Good. Okay. Billy said there's 96 in limited optics now, so we're not quite to 100. But so, what was you guys' reaction? Potato, what was your reaction when you got that email? And hey, you can shoot limited optics at Iron Sight Nationals.
I thought, well, that's how they're going to sell their last 55 slots.
Oh, so this is where kind of the biggest bone of contention is, because what was their justification for adding an optic?
To see the viability of limited optics as a provisional division. And I've ranted about this on y'all's program before, but I think better matches are more division specific. A good match for optics divisions is random number generator for iron-sighted divisions, with maybe, with the exception of 10 or 15 shooters in the country who can run iron sights at a optics match. So if you want to test the viability of limited optics as a division, put it in a match with opener carry optics.
Yep.
Don't take over iron-sighted nationals, if that's what you wanted to do. If you wanted to sell slots, you could, for instance, say, hey, we have unsold slots. Anybody want to come and shoot a gun that has nothing to do with these other guns? You're welcome to.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the big bones of contention was they came out and said, hey, we're doing this because we want to test the viability of LO. And it's like, no, you don't care about that. You haven't sold all the slots to the match, and you're just adding this to it so that you can sell out the match. And like, in some respects, like if that's just say that. Like, why do you need to hide behind, oh, we're testing the viability or blah blah blah, whatever crap that we're doing. And so like that's just them just thinking that all the constituents are just stupid and can't figure this out. So yeah, I hate it. One, it's Iron Sight Nationals, so there's that. Two, it's a provisional division. Like, it doesn't need its own nationals. I think that's completely bogus. It's watering down. It's going to water down the other divisions. Like, you're pulling good shooters out of other divisions. They're going to end up shooting limited optics, and it's just a bunch of, it's just nonsense. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, it just sucks. I mean, 20 people have dropped out of limited already.
Yeah,
at least 20. There's probably actually a few more than 20, but 20 since I looked at it the first time, which when I looked at it the first time, there were already 30 people in limited optics.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just frustrating. And that was my reaction when I first saw it, was just immediate frustration. It was like, it's Iron Sight Nationals.
Right.
And this is gonna pull from these divisions, because I mean, there are shooters, especially in single stack, that have sponsors, like gun sponsors, that will shoot single stack because their sponsors make single stacks, but they also make a limited optics type gun. So, I mean, I guarantee you, people are going to drop out and go shoot it and not shoot single stack, which frustrates me, obviously, because I'm a single stack guy. Yeah, it was just immediate frustration and like, why the hell? But
so 28 people. 28 people dropped out of limited optic. I mean, dropped from limited to limited optics. 6 people from single stack, 14 from production. I took a picture right when they announced it of what the registration was, because I kind of wanted that historical record.
Yeah.
just so that I could see what the final tally is, because I was curious, and I figure whatever the official story is later won't reflect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can see like it's a watering down of the divisions kind of just across the board, right? You're taking it from all the other divisions. Internationals that has a whole bunch of divisions already in one nationals match, right?
Yeah.
And again, it weakens the national titles. The part of what I don't like about the watering across the divisions, it weakens what is special about winning a nationals, because it's just another nationals that's won against lesser competition. And so
I mean, to me,
that
that's what
sucks.
watering down divisions means. I mean, it just means you're watering down the competition, the heat in that division. So, I mean, that's exactly what this did. I mean, it added water to probably every division but Revolver, honestly.
Which bizarrely got more signups after this, but anyway.
There's no.
Don't even try and make sense of it. It's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Went from 29
Maybe
to 32.
Probably some limited shooter. People started dropping out of limited, so they were just like, screw it, I'm going to go shoot Revolver. Just did it out of anger.
Yeah. So no, I didn't talk to anybody that was a fan of that. Obviously, there's almost 100 people that have signed up for the division, which I don't totally blame those people that have signed up for it. I will shame them, but I don't necessarily blame them, because if they shoot CO and they shoot a dot most of the time, okay. Yet, hey, they just open up a deal where I can shoot a dot again.
Well, and they live an hour away.
Right.
It's like, so now they can go shoot a 20-stage match an hour away from home against good shooters. Like, why wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah, I fully... I don't, again, I will shame them, but I don't blame them for that. But I also didn't talk to anybody who wasn't disappointed that happened, that took place. So
yeah, same. Everybody was frustrated. I mean, even people that we talked to at the match that were like, "Oh yeah, I switched to limited optics." Like they were like, "This is dumb, but I'm still doing it."
Right. Yeah. Yes. So anyway. Area 3, Jeff won single stack. Jeff shot a good match. Nothing against him. He shot a pretty good match for a single stack shooter.
Yeah.
We were virtually in a dead tie after the first day.
You were up one match point.
Yeah, I was like,
you went to sleep up 0.9. Yeah, you went to sleep 0.9 up.
Yeah.
Okay, so stop right there. Don't say anything else. All right, so take us through your first day.
What happened? Especially because you 3 stages in, you were up 30 points, Jeff. After 3 stages, like 35 points.
Yeah, well, I always come out strong, generally.
Yeah. So get us to there, Jeremy. Get us like through those first 6 stages.
Yeah. So I mean, Were you
banking on me fading? Where you're like, well, he's gonna fade, so.
No, I wasn't necessarily expecting you to fade and skip a target. I wasn't expecting that.
That was a nice gift.
That wasn't in my expectations. It started. I'm trying to remember if I had a penalty on my first stage. I know I had a mic no shoot on like stage 2 or 3. But so I mean, it just started kind of slow and sloppy for me, and that ended up being.
You just shot 3 deltas on your first stage. That was the...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I was basically down a penalty, a miss, in deltas shot on my first stage. And a little bit slow.
Well, in your first 3 stages, you shot 5 deltas.
Yeah. So 3 were first stage, so the next 2 is I cleaned it up, only 1 per. That's pretty solid for me.
I think it was actually 2-2-1, but yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I was shooting minor, and and it was probably it's the sloppiest I've ever shot. Surprisingly, without an actual ton of penalties. I mean,
Right.
I think I had 3 penalties, but I had 19 deltas on the match. One of the penalties was on
number.
it was a very impressive number of deltas and charlies, and so it was just a really sloppy match, and it was a deal that like we're talking about where I was at after the first 3 stages. Like, okay, I'm not shooting good points, but it wasn't like I didn't need to go slower. It wasn't an issue of I'm just going too fast. I was just like, I wasn't gripping the gun well. I wasn't aiming hard enough, and I wasn't pulling the trigger very well. Like I was moving the first 3 stages, really I was moving the gun while I was pulling the trigger, and so I was basically pulling the gun and pushing the gun off target a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And going slower doesn't help. That would just add time.
Correct.
You missed. Yeah, it's not like,
Correct.
oh, I'm outrunning the gun. It's I'm adding fundamental marksmanship errors with my hands.
Correct.
I'm looking where I want to shoot. The sights are where I want them to be. And at the point the gun goes off, it's no longer there because I've moved it.
Correct. So mentally, like to recover from that, the only thing I could do is basically I had to put my mental focus simply on just trying to just hold still while the gun's shooting. Like I had to actually like consciously think, hold still while the gun's going off. And as almost most people know, you can't think about multiple things at once. And so the other stuff then goes by the wayside. And look, it's just my lot in life, but I can't make anything subconscious in shooting. Like nothing happens subconsciously for me correctly, as far as like gripping the gun hard or how I want to manipulate the trigger or how I want to aim. Like none of that happens subconsciously, and you can't think about all those things once the timer's gone off. And so it's just the struggle that I have. So I shot better the last half of the first day, and because I did have a mic no shoot on a really close. It was a stack target that was probably, I don't know, 5 yards away, and you had like a 2 inches of a no shoot between the 2 targets, and I just put one right in the middle of that freaking no shoot. And you see it as you're transitioning away. It's like, well, that's cool. And you're so you're pretty much, and that was like the first array of that stage. So the whole stage, that's just in your mind. I'm already down 25 points on this stage, and so that's fun. But I was able to kind of pull it back together a little bit. Kind of the second half was still fairly sloppy, but it was better towards the end of that. And again, Jeff got tired at the end of day 1, and he faded a little bit. And yeah, he missed a target. It was honestly a target that was easy to miss because I had actually missed it in a walkthrough the day before. I hadn't actually seen it, but you knew it in the walkthrough, right? Like it wasn't like a target that you never saw.
I saw it in the walkthrough the day before, but once we got back to the stage on this day, I never saw it.
Oh, okay.
Oh no!
Yeah. Oh
no! And I bet your brain even told you, "Oh, I know this stage. I did it yesterday. I'm good."
Yeah. Well, I remember like air gunning it, doing the walkthrough, and being like, "This stage was not this straightforward yesterday. There was something else to this stage yesterday." But I never figured it out. So, yeah, when Jeremy says I missed a target, he doesn't mean I like didn't hit it. He means I didn't even shoot at it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Skip the target.
He gave a 40-point gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, the interesting thing was I didn't notice that in real time. I wasn't watching Jeff shoot while he shot that array because it was like a 30-yard target, 35.
Yeah.
It was a pretty far target.
It was like there was like 4 targets up close, like 10 yards ish, and then like right in the middle of that array, there's like a 30-yard open tucked behind a wall, like right back in the middle. So, I mean, very easy to glaze over, but obviously stupid mistake. Like that's a huge mental error. And it's that kind of thing that makes me more frustrated than any sort of like shooting mics, shooting penalties, shooting terrible, like can't hit the center of a target. What makes me more frustrated than anything is when I make mental errors like that, or like shoot to slide lock when I wasn't planning to shoot to slide lock, or things like that. It's like I just didn't think about it. Makes me so mad. So that was tough. That was a tough one to swallow.
I only noticed something was kind of weird because I shot the stage half decent. I don't think there was anything weird. And Jeff was like a half second faster than me. I was like, that seems weird. But the fact that he skipped a 30-yard target, so no transition, no split on that target, would have made up for that.
Oh, it was
that
fast.
time. Yeah, it was a good stage time.
Stage 4. Yeah. So I shot it.
Yeah, you had a mic on that, Jeremy.
Oh, okay. That was where my third mic came from.
You shot it in the same time as Nils, although you did have the benefit of not having to shoot the 30-yard target.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is pretty good time saving. Probably a full second at least.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
So did I shoot another mic on that stage as well?
You did. You had a mic separate from that. You had 2 mic FTSA on that target, and you picked up a mic on a different target as well.
See, I don't even remember that other mic. Didn't even know that happened. Didn't matter.
You heard the 2 mic FTSA, and your brain's just like, I'm done.
Yep, pretty much. Just walk back and load my mags. Look at the scores, see how bad the damage was. But honestly, like when I looked at the scores, and I looked who like I was in the running with, because I knew that Paul Clark had not bombed any stages, because all his results were in because he shot Friday. So I looked at his, and I was like, well, I mean, compared to his score, I didn't freaking bomb it. Like, it wasn't that bad. I'm not that far behind him, so he didn't shoot great. He had a mic, and then Jeremy had a mic, and I was like, well, I mean, no disrespect to, like, all the other guys that are shooting, but those are the 2 that I really care about. And that didn't knock me that far behind them. So I was frustrated for a minute, and then I was like, screw it. It's probably not going to make a massive difference. Let's just get back to work.
Mike Dixon was the only shooter in single stack to put 32 holes in paper that scored on that stage.
Exactly. Yeah, he hooked up.
Way to go, Mike Dixon.
Crush. Yeah, he crushed that one.
Yeah, so
everybody bombed that one. Everybody bombed it. It was crazy.
With 2 deltas, 3 seconds slower.
Yeah, it was a challenging stage. So we haven't talked about that. Like our first 4 stages of the match was kind of a blood fest for almost everyone. Like that stretch of stages was. I'm glad the whole match wasn't like that stretch of stages, because it was really, really challenging shooting. I liked the
mentally challenging stages as well.
Yeah, for sure. It was tough, and so I liked those stages. They were good stages. From that standpoint, it was just tough. Like I think the next stage after this was the mini target stage. So we had half size targets, and this was the only headed targets. It's the only we call them metrics. It's always confusing to me. There's only metric targets in the match, and they were half size, but they were at normal target distances. So you're talking like 10 to 20 yards on all of those. So you're basically shooting the equivalent of 20 to 40 yard, just a whole stage is nothing but that. And so that was challenging. That was actually probably one of the better stages I shot of the match, because everything was slow enough that I could just focus on shooting fundamentals, and I shot that one halfway decent. from just a technical shooting fundamental standpoint. But yeah, they were very challenging stages up to that point. For like our first 4 stages of the match were rough from a just getting through it and hitting everything even.
You guys started on 13 and ran 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at this point in the match, Jeremy, were you still trying to reel it in? Like you were still trying to reel in hits or make adjustments, or were you just rolling with it at this point?
So kind of towards the last couple stages of day 1, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the targets got a little bit easier. They got a little closer in the last couple stages. Because I think like our second to last stage was pretty close in shooting. I wouldn't call it hose fest. It's pretty close in shooting when I remember. And this is the stage where I got off the stage and everybody's laughing at me because like, dude, we thought you were going to break the front of your trigger guard off your gun because you were slapping that trigger so hard. And it's like, man, I've been training for over a year to try to stop doing that altogether. And I actually shot a good stage. Like the stage was actually a pretty good stage for me and had maybe it was one of the stages that didn't have any deltas on it, maybe. I think I only had like one that didn't have deltas. Which tells you a lot about my match.
You had 2.
I had 2. Okay. It's always good, especially when you're shooting minor.
No, you had 3, but it had a mic no shoot. So.
Oh yeah, there we go.
You had 3 stages without a delta.
Yeah. Okay. But like that was kind of just a good example of like nothing was actually working at that point. So when we shoot the last couple stages, really all my focus I'm just trying to hold the gun steady and just I'm along for the ride at that point. And yeah, I didn't have any control over the gun really at that point. And
yeah,
so trying to get as much as I could out of it. And yeah, it was a gift from Jeff that I was in the match at that point. Because I hadn't shot well up to there. Like there were some moments that were okay, but for the most part I hadn't really shot well for the match.
To just put it out there, I was also very frustrated at this point in the match with points down. Even though I was shooting major, like I think day 1 I shot almost, if not as many deltas as Jeremy.
It wasn't as many, but it was.
I shot a lot. It's like
you had like 9. I think I had 11 or something after day 1.
Yeah, so a lot of deltas were shot on day 1, and I was very frustrated with that as well. Even shooting major, like you don't want to shoot deltas. It's not a great strategy. So I mean, that whole day, I was trying to reel it in as well.
Yeah, and again, part of that was our first 4 stages were you were almost gonna shoot deltas on some of those because it was just really challenging shooting. Just the distance and stuff that was there. What I appreciated about the match, not to get as far as their stage, is that for the most part they didn't use a ton of partials. They used more of distance and isolated targets to let that be the differentiator. And it was nice because you're not looking at something that's going to just tank your score as far as an individual target. Like you're going to lose to the better shooters because of points down, right? It's not necessarily going to be hard cover misses and no shoots, penalties and all that sort of stuff. So that's actually kind of, I like that. That's really more, you see that a lot more in IPSC. IPSC uses a lot fewer partials than what we do here. We tend to see partials, but within 10 yards type thing.
Yeah.
So I did like seeing the open targets at more distance and kind of letting the points down letting hit factor scoring actually be what's the difference maker for people rather than it just being penalties.
Yeah. All right, so that
And I
rounds
did see
out.
that the winner in production shot the same percentage of points as you, Jeff. Obviously shooting minor.
Who? What?
The winner in production shot 92% of points as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He shot good, and then he shot really aggressive after he had a very
The match
solid
was
lead.
over for him.
Yeah, yeah. I think they were talking about it at the last stage. He didn't have to shoot the last stage. Didn't have to even shoot it. So he shot it faster than anybody on the squad.
He did. Nils did a couple things at the match that were kind of
Incredible.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last stage was the best one. He had another stage where he shot it. He eliminated a couple positions by shooting the target from a really, really crazy lean. And I looked at it and it was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like
No.
it's not there. And
it was
you
like
watch
an
his
18-yard target.
Yeah. He shot 4 times at it, and you watch his video, and it from his hat cam, it looks like that target's plenty visible. Like, why didn't everybody do this? And
Yeah.
it wasn't. It wasn't plenty visible. I was looking.
Yeah,
I was
this is
seeing
nuts.
deltas, is what I was like. I don't need to add any more deltas to my match. That's not going to be. It's not going to be worth it. So
I think whatever Nils is, 6'3", that was the minimum height to be able to do that.
probably, yeah.
I mean, I tried to go to that position and lean out, and I could not see the target at all until my feet
Yeah.
were on the ground outside the shooting area. It was nuts.
Yeah, I
And
can
he
see
hit it.
edges of it, but
And as he was
to
leaning
put
out,
a-
he shot 4 times, 2 Alpha,
Mhm.
2 Charlie.
yep.
And to put it in perspective, he shot the match in the same time as Browning, who, and I know we'll get to the limited results, but who came in pretty close third in limited. So
Yeah.
that pretty good time on the match for a 10
Anyway.
round minor gun.
Yeah, for sure.
It was awesome.
sure.
It was awesome shooting with Nils, seeing all the stuff he did. It was great.
So,
Jeff,
yeah,
Jeremy, on your first day, Jeff, when you
Yeah.
donated
Yeah.
all those points, what was your next stage? Were you right back at it?
The next stage, I think I had let's see, that was stage 4. Stage 5, is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
On the same day?
Yep.
Yeah, so stage 5, there's no mics on that one, right? Yeah,
That's
so
correct.
that one, yeah, so what happened on that one, why it's so much slower, is I shot the match, or shot the stage, and I finished, and I pulled the mag out of my gun, put it in my pouch, and the RO said, if you're finished, unload your killer, and I looked up at a target like 5 feet away from me, and there was a mic on it. So with
I
the
forgot
chamber
that you
still,
did that.
yeah, with the chambered round, I popped one into that target, 3 seconds after I'd finished shooting. So that's what happened on that one.
Okay. I was just curious. Just wanted to relive that glory too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the last 3 stages were not good.
Which he was probably
Feeling that mile.
his time on that was probably it was a wash. Like he didn't actually the mic versus the time
Yeah.
would have been really, really close to the
Yep. I waited so
he would have
long
ended
to
up
shoot
same hit factor. Yeah. It ended up being a wash.
Mhm.
Then stage 6.
It's a 5-factor stage, so 5-factor stage for him.
Right. So
A
3
mic
seconds. He had
is
3 seconds.
15
almost.
points, yeah. Yep.
So then stage 6 was our mini target stage, and
I just shot that one super careful and too slow. That's all that happened there.
and he still had almost as many Charlies and Deltas as me. Honestly, that stage, the mini target stage, if I had anything less than 10 Charlies, I was totally happy with that, and ended up with 7 Charlies and 1 Delta, and so the equivalent of 9 Charlies, and I was like, okay, I'll take that with a decent time on the stage. I wasn't mad about that. So
That rounds out day 1. Day 2 is where
Yeah.
it got fun for me.
Yeah, so
How did it get fun for you?
Day 2. You want to start with me? Okay. So day 2, we actually started on a very challenging stage, which was a bunch of barrels. Everything had to be on barrels.
yeah.
So it was actually a really tough stage for shooting major against a 10-round minor, and it wasn't a great run or anything. It wasn't awesome, but it was there. I was still frustrated because I came right out of the gate, shot 2 deltas first stage, and so from that point on, I shifted here. At this point, after that run, I saw 2 deltas. I was like, what the hell is going on? Why am I shooting so many deltas? And so I decided to focus on something else. And I decided to focus on the thing I'd been dry firing, which was, and I've talked about this in the Discord, whether it's stupid or not, I don't really know, but it helped me at this match. And that was that I was going to focus on pulling the trigger like I was trying to pull my sights straight up. And that's what I decided to focus on from this point forward for the rest of the stages. And so, and from that
you shot
point
12
on,
deltas before that, changed
Yeah.
to that point of focus, and shot 1
yeah, shot 1
for 5
and,
more stages. Yeah.
and very few Charlies as well. Like it was
That's
crazy.
correct.
It was crazy how my shooting changed. Like so I shot the 2 deltas on that stage, went to the next stage and shot 3 Charlie, and that was it. And I was like, okay, that seemed to work. I'm going to do that for the next one and see what happens. Now I shot the next one, 3 Charlie. And so from that point, after those 2 runs, I was feeling very good. I was feeling very comfortable, very confident, and so it just built from there. I mean, I essentially shot good the rest of the day. It's just like that, and it was awesome, and I would recommend it.
9 out of 10. Highly recommended. If back in Grand Isle, would watch the front sight lift out of the notch perfectly straight up on every trigger press again.
Yeah, it was just nuts because that's all I changed. That's all I changed. Is like, okay, this is the thing, because we pick a thing to focus on, or I think we do. I don't know. That's what I do. I pick a thing to focus on. I don't really know what I was focusing on before. But at that point, I was like, I'm going to focus on this thing. And it completely changed my hits on targets for the rest of the match. Which is crazy. I don't think I've ever done that before. Where
You haven't experienced that in practice or anything?
No, I don't think so. Not
Oh,
like
really?
that. Not that drastic. I mean, dude, look at those hits from day 1 to day 2. I mean, it's crazy how many Charlies and Deltas I was shooting, and then all of a sudden it stopped.
And
Yeah.
looking at your competition, they were still shooting Charlies and Deltas on those stages. So it's not like the stages
Yes.
changed. You changed.
The
Yeah,
stages
but
were easier from a distance standpoint. Like the shooting was easier day 2 than day 1.
It was. I would agree. Like those first 4 stages were brutal, especially after the run, coming and then trying to do those, brutal.
But deltas aren't normally a sign of the difficulty of the target.
Not always.
Like if the target's difficult, you pay more attention, and then you shoot the points you shoot. Like deltas are, I don't know. At least for me, I collect deltas on open targets. Close.
Yeah. I did plenty of that.
19
Anyway.
deltas is a lot. I'm
It
kind
is.
of proud of you. I shot a 10-stage match this year, and I shot 10 deltas, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm shooting a minor gun, and I shot 10 deltas. I didn't know that was possible. You shot a 13-stage match, and you shot 19. That's even more impressive.
It's yeah. If that's what impresses you, then I'm here for.
That
I'm
does
here to
impress
impress
me.
you.
19 deltas is a lot.
It is
76 match points. I mean, that's a lot of match points.
It's hard to overcome that. Which obviously I didn't, because like the rest of that day.
I mean, just shoot 5 mics and save your time.
Right. Yeah, it'd been easier.
And faster too. Don't even have to aim.
Right. Yeah, I just couldn't find my points down were just atrocious the whole second day. And so I was like, well, here you go, Jeff. Might as well be Area 3 champion.
And once I had a bit of a lead, and I was paying attention to scores pretty attentively. I don't know what Jeremy was doing. I tried not to bring it up.
I mean, I had.
I don't believe you.
I mean, like I was not looking at scores, but when you got like 2 deltas on every stage and another handful of Charlies, you're donating quite a few points.
Yeah.
Stage after stage. So
yeah,
I didn't have to look.
So once I had a bit of a lead on Jeremy, I was just basically tracking the scores, looking at like the top 4 or 5 guys that I was shooting against. And so I was just trying to keep track of where I was at with Paul Clark Jr. since he had finished everything, and it looked like
how many
he was
points you basically had left to give.
Yeah.
So I mean, because your last 2 stages, it's like, hey, I can drop 10 points a stage and still win.
Yeah. So we went into like the 2 short stages, and I looked at the scores, and I was like, okay, well, I just need solid runs on these. It looks like Paul Clark didn't shoot great, so if I just have clean runs, I'll gain points on him. And then, so I did that. And then
you just made the fundamental math mistake, and I have to correct you because Jeremy's not going to. It doesn't matter where he got his points once he's done shooting. His points are his points. So unless you're winning the stage and depressing his point total, it doesn't matter how you do head-to-head against someone who's done shooting. You can go onto a stage and you can be like, oh, he bombed the stage and shot 2 mics. All I have to do is shoot alphas and I'll be fine. No. If the person's done shooting, they have the points they have. Unless the top changes, you actually you still have to show up there. So it doesn't matter how they did on that stage because they already have all their points.
Well, it matters if we're shooting head to head and like I'm not really gaining any ground on him. And then we come to 2 stages and I can see that he underperformed on them. I'm like, okay, well, if I perform like I have been, then I will have gained points on him on this. I was kind of treating it like he was shooting with me.
Right, but because he isn't, he already has his points. So, like, even if somebody bombs the stage, you were winning stages, so it's a little bit different. But if you're not winning stages, it doesn't matter because their points are their points. I'm not explaining this well, and I won't even try and do it on air. But there's and you intuitively already get this. It's just a way that people phrase it. It doesn't make sense where they're like, okay. I'm such and such ahead of so and so, and they did badly on this stage. It's like it doesn't matter. They're done shooting. So if they have 1,526 match points, that's how many match points they have, other than stage points.
Yes, yeah, I was just treating it like I had his other scores like after ours, kind of DNF'd for a couple stages because I just wanted to know how he was doing on the one I was about to shoot. So that's how I was approaching it. I was approaching it like he was shooting.
Oh, okay. So you DNF'd him from stages so that you could just see like head to head.
At some point, I did. Yes, I looked ahead to see on stages that he had underperformed on, and then when we got to those, I would be like, okay, well, I just need to shoot, this many percentage. I just want to gain points on him on this stage. So I would just try to, perform more than 88%. It didn't matter if I won the stage or not. I just needed to shoot better than 88% on that stage. Because I knew he was the guy I was competing against. Like, everyone else at that point didn't really matter. So I was like, it doesn't matter if McLean won the stage. I don't really care. Like, McLean lost the match on day 1 kind of deal. So I don't care about McLean at this point. I just care about beating Paul on this stage. So that's how I was
Well,
approaching.
so then it's how many points you can bleed, right? Because you have a theoretical high available of if you won the rest of the stages without any score compression, and then you can lose X number of points per stage.
I don't know, dude. I didn't care
He
about
doesn't,
winning the
dude.
stages.
He doesn't understand.
I just cared about
Never
That's
mind.
beating
past
him
him.
on the stage. Like no one else mattered, right? It was
Right, but how
just cared
somebody
about his
does on a stage doesn't matter if they're done
He-
shooting. It matters how
he-
many match points they have. It doesn't matter what stage they got them on.
He doesn't think like that. That's not how
No,
Jeff
that does
Cawthon
not.
thinks.
That does not make sense to me.
That doesn't compute. That's way
I
past.
believe that the math makes sense, but that is not how I look at them. So yes, going into the final stage, I had a 15 point or 14 point lead. So at that point, I just needed to not tank that stage, and I shot it pretty aggressively. So it was a good stage. And then it was in the bag. It was in the bag, and it was a good feeling. McLean crushed that last stage. He shot it great, which was for us was stage 12. And that's the one that Nils came in and shot like freaking 15 seconds on. So.
15.79 seconds. Yep.
Yeah.
And then
McLean crushed it in 1848.
Yeah.
I donated a crap ton of match points because I knew I was down, and so I just went full send. And it was an unloaded start, and I couldn't get my first mag in the gun, and ended up. I'm standing there staring at the first target, and I actually dropped my first mag and have to then go back to my second mag just for the first position. And then I went to war on 2 different pieces of steel, and I was still 19 seconds on the stage, which part of me, like, that was my worst stage of the match, but part of me, that's almost my biggest takeaway of the match, is like it was an absolute dumpster fire, but at the same time, like, even with all the crap that went on, like, I shot aggressively enough to actually still have a really good time. Obviously, the hits were really sketchy, but that was kind of interesting. That was kind of interesting that my time was anywhere near as close as it was with basically a standing load and going to war on a couple pieces of steel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like you don't need to be worried about time so much. It's almost like if you queued up the right level of aggression, your times would be there, and you need to worry about loading the gun and aiming at a specific point on the steel and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. So I was one of the last ones to go on that stage, and so Jeff had shot his run. I was like, yeah, it looked like a really good run. And then, yeah, I saw Nils that ran it 4 seconds faster, and so part of that kind of was like, oh, there's 4 seconds.
I can just
on
do what
this
he
stage.
did.
Well, I mean, well, at least attempt to, right? Is like, I don't. If I just shoot Jeff's time, then I have no chance of because I wasn't sure where. I thought I was probably 30 points down to Jeff, and I don't know if that was the case or not. Probably fairly close to that. I still haven't gone back and looked what the match was right before that. But I was like, if I can run it in 15 and like that, then it's possible that I could make up 30 points on this stage. Didn't work out, but but it was like I can either just shoot it normal or I can go for it. And if I just shoot it normal, there's no chance of winning. And if I go for it, well, then there's at least a chance. Didn't happen. I didn't have the skills to make it work. But
that would have been a hell of a home run.
You gave up essentially 40 points on that, and you were about 40 points down.
So I gave up 40 points, but so
you went into the stage 40 points down, and then you gave up 40 points on that stage, swinging for the fences. Right. But if you had a Nils run, then you could have covered most of the ground of that 40.
Correct.
Maybe not all of it, but you would have covered a lot. Yeah, absolutely, makes sense.
So that was So I mean, it kind of pushed my overall finish a bit lower than it would have been otherwise. But it was like, well, might as well go for it. If it ain't first, you're last, right? Isn't that how Ricky Bobby says? Isn't that in? I think that's in Rocky 4. I think.
No, don't even try. Don't stop.
Yes, Ricky Bobby and Rocky 4.
Yeah.
Solid.
So,
but yeah, it was a great match. It was a great weekend. We had Cliff, our videographer guy, with us. He was great. We got a lot of footage. We got over 12 hours of footage, over a terabyte of space was used, and a lot of people went up to Cliff. Thank you guys for saying hey to Cliff and making him feel included in it. That was pretty cool. He was pleasantly surprised at the people that came up and say hey to him and knew what was going on. So that was pretty cool.
That's gonna be so
great.
cool. I can't wait for this video.
One of the funniest things when we got to some stage, I think it was first day or something like that. Of course, at this point, I had kind of got used to Cliff and the camera. Like, I'm still not natural in front of the camera, but we had the camera on all weekend, so we kind of got used to it. And we get to a stage, and Cliff was doing a really good job, even with. We had kind of coached him on it beforehand, but then he just did it himself. He was going up to every RO like, hey, I'm going to be recording them. Do you guys mind if I record this stage? And, that same spiel, like, yeah, just stay behind me or whatever. And so he goes up to this one RO and he's like asking this stuff. And he's like, wait, what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm recording these two guys. And he looks at me and Jeff and he's like, I don't even know who you are. It was like this. How dare we try to, like, we're not famous enough. How dare we try to make a video out of a shooting competition? I think he said, I've been to 27 different nationals, 27 years of nationals.
Yeah.
I've never heard of you.
I don't even know who you are. Yeah, it was awesome.
You should have lied.
Funny.
Yeah. Oh, I'm Travis Tomasi.
Right.
We spoke last time you were down in Georgia. You don't remember?
Yeah.
Max was Sheldon third.
Okay, so I got two questions on this, Jeff. Like, did you feel more pressure because of the camera? Like, just in the match, just like shooting performance wise, did you think that added any sort of pressure to it?
No, I didn't. But I did get exponentially more excited when I started shooting well.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, like it didn't cross my mind like when I shot poorly or did something stupid, right? Like skip a target. I didn't really feel it wasn't on my mind. But when I started shooting well and was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm feeling like I'm gonna win this thing. Then I was like, yes. It was better. It made it richer, right?
I wouldn't know, so I couldn't tell you on that part. I mean,
wait. What was the second question? Sorry.
Well, so the second question is, I mean, like, so you shot. Honestly, take out a couple deltas and take out skipping a target. You shot a good match overall.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Like, I mean, would you disagree? I was not trying to throw shade on you or make fun of you in any way. Like, you would say you shot a good match, right?
I don't know. It's hard to say because I feel like I'm playing IFSIC almost, right? It's like, well, if you take away these things, then I shot a good match.
Well, yeah, I wasn't trying to.
Other than 6 inches and dribbling, I'm basically an NBA star.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to play the IFSIC deal with you, but
yeah.
But overall, you had a good match. But
yeah,
you're looking ahead to nationals and wanting to do well at nationals, try to win nationals, and you shoot a good match, and then you look at Nils' scores, and because we talked about this in the car going down, right? You were kind of asking Brett where like he thought he would finish against Nils. He was shooting production, kind of where you thought you might finish against Nils. And
did you pick 85% on the drive down?
Negative.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
They were both pretty aggressive picks on where they would finish
I'm good for
against
93.
Nils. I think there was a couple guesses higher than that.
Higher than 93.
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm
Man,
pretty sure.
I love this confidence, man. You guys.
I'm pretty sure I said if I shot like a killer match, then I could shoot 95%. I'm pretty sure I said that.
Yeah, that could have been the language around it.
I gave like 3 numbers. But yeah.
So then, but does that color how you view your match here?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, here's where my head's going, which I'm sure you already know. You see Elias, single stack shooter, put up a performance against Nils. Apparently, Nils shot poorly. I don't know that. I wasn't there. But Area 1, Elias finishes in the overall ahead of Nils. And then I come to Area 3 and I lose to Nils by what? Was it like 13% or something?
14 and change.
Yeah. So that doesn't feel great. And no, that doesn't give me a lot of confidence, but I'll just lie to myself and I'll make up some stuff why that could be, and I'll work really hard and I'll come in confident.
Area 1 was also a very different match. Area 3 was technically demanding with a lot of far shots. Area 1 was not distant shooting.
Yeah, and Nils separates on the harder the shooting, the more Nils will separate.
He's such a fundamentally phenomenal shooter that if you give him hard shooting, he's going to come in way ahead. If it's close, fast stuff, there's lots of people who can shoot close, fast stuff as fast as Nils.
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Yeah,
Yep.
So that's the type of stuff that I will tell myself. I'll just be like,
Good.
yeah, well,
we just told it to you, but it's all lies.
Yeah. I'll even make up stuff like that. Be like, well, really, this probably happened, and Elias just took
the
it
mile
up,
round.
and yeah, exactly.
No,
it doesn't.
So somebody
doesn't
looked
feel
up
great,
what you
but-
lost to Nils in the overall. I'm not doing the overall. I'm doing the combined single stack production, in which case it's 14.68%.
Gotcha.
I don't look at the
I
overall.
probably
I
only
just
looked
sort
at
of
the
combine the
overall
divisions.
number.
Because who cares what you guys did relative to Aaron Edens as he wins yet another match, but still Jeremy refuses to rank him higher. That's a discussion for another day. I mean, what can this man do besides win every match he goes to and then have Jeremy shit on him?
I have not done that. I've not done that at all. He needs to recruit. He needs to recruit more people to shoot against. Is what he needs to have happen.
He shot against another open super squatter and beat him.
Andrew Hyder at this match, right?
Yep.
Is Hyder in our power rankings?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
Jeremy, so before we move on, you answer those 2 questions now.
I mean, like, it wasn't like a conscious thought about the camera deal, but I do like it does. I think it probably did add some level of pressure, almost like to the whole weekend, right? Because it was like Cliff was kind of coming and interviewing us, not before every stage, but kind of 2 or 3 times during each day. Before stages sometimes, after stages sometimes, how it went and that sort of stuff. So just kind of a little bit more on edge the whole time. And Cliff was great about like not being in your face or anything like that.
Yeah.
There were some times where I shot like a terrible stage, and like Cliff's like, hey, I want to. Can you come talk to me? And look, when I don't do well, like usually I don't want to talk to anybody for a good while. So that was, had to try to. I tried. I don't know how the video is going to come out. I may look just like I may look like a really sore loser. I don't know. I hope I don't. But
Did you berate anybody and let them continue shooting? Let you continue shooting after you were disqualified?
I did not. Nope. I did not do
Okay.
that.
All right.
So,
And so
so
you're ahead of some people in the game.
I'm ahead of some people in the game. So, but I think there probably was just a little bit of added pressure from, to me, I think there's probably some added pressure just being videoed the whole time, knowing that, hey, this is going to be a professional production type deal. And then as far as Nils, uh, I've shot with Nils more often than you have, so
Yeah.
it doesn't shock me to finish where I did against him. But no, but it is like because I was sitting there thinking, my time was decent at this match. It was mostly hits that I was worried about, and then go look at Nils' time, and it's like 20 seconds faster. It's like, crap, yeah. He not only shot really good points, he did it much, 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 much faster. And yeah, that's I don't know. That's I'm not necessarily chasing Nils anymore.
Mm.
I'm getting closer to the conclusion that me trying to compete at a match is not a way for me to shoot a good match.
Going into this, you were saying that.
I was trying.
You made this whole match, and then you made this whole match about racing Jeff,
right,
on your feet and with a gun,
right.
And
yeah,
and then you didn't shoot the way you know you can shoot.
Right. I mean the whole video deal and like the chronicling like the competition between Jeff and I, that the goal was for that to kind of be the focus of the video. But I do think for me, like, I will probably shoot better if I can just totally ignore the competition side of things, because I want to compete too much, such that it's, for me, I think it's detrimental to my performance. And so if I could ever get to a point and not care about that, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I get there. We'll see. It was like coming out of this match, it was, I think I know where I'm going with my training, but I don't know. It was very much, we were eating dinner that night after the match was over, and just kind of sitting there thinking, like, where do I go in training after this? And it was like, man, I am at a loss. Like, I at that point I was very much like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, like, if I need to just push harder, if I need to lay back and push hard, just fundamentals, and worry about speed less. So that was kind of where I was at right after the match. The more I've thought about it, it has been, what would I tell somebody who was new to the sport? Like, what advice would I give them if they had just shot the match that I shot? Because the fact that I've been in the sport for 10 years is irrelevant, right? It's what can you do going forward? What can you progress to going forward? And so my advice to them would be, keep going fast. Like, keep trying to be fast, because you have to be that.
Well, your problem wasn't that you were too fast. Your problem was that you moved the gun when you pulled the trigger.
Right. That's
which is independent of speed.
Correct. Right. So there's no need to slow down or anything like that. It's shoot better fundamentals while you're being aggressive. But the very last stage of the match, where I was trying to just hit a home run, that was a little bit different mentality from an aggression standpoint than I had that whole match. And so my goal in practice then is to try to hone in on that aggression more often in practice, so that I'm trying to be in that zone more often in practice.
So when you say, like, you shot that really aggressively and you missed one load and you went to war with 2 pieces of steel and had a standing load, but you liked how you shot most of the stage in terms of, like, the level of aggression. Did you just, and you said you were going to go full send, so you said a lot of things like that. Is the error there, like, as a listener, is the error that you did that for everything, that loading the mag on an unloaded start isn't a full send action. You just load the mag, right? Like there's no level of effort required. You can load a mag pretty quickly, and if you do it really fast, it'll be a 145, and if you do it really slow, it'll be a 160, right? But it's just like you just load the mag and then shoot all the things as aggressive as you did, and then when you get to this particular piece of steel, aim enough that you hit it, and then continue shooting the stuff as aggressively as you did. So the aggression that you want to get in training is having access to that level of aggression, but not doing things that it doesn't benefit. I'm not doing a great job explaining that.
Well, no, that's the challenge is to be aggressive and then be able to have the control to very specifically say, I mean, JJ he talks about it a lot, but very specifically say, I'm going to hone in and kind of focus in for this target because it's a high danger target or high risk target, whether it's a mini popper at distance or a partial or whatever it is. That's really challenging for me to do personally. Like that's just really challenging for me to do. So, which makes me think, okay, I need to live in that aggressive mode as much as possible so that I can practice that. Hey, these situations through a stage are where I need to rein it in. Everywhere else, kind of let loose, so to speak. We'll see if I can do that or not.
Did you feel like the shooting that you did at this match was reflective of your shooting in practice?
No. I mean, so coming out of Governor's Cup, like I was coming out of that, and I pushed the aggression coming out of Governor's Cup. It's like I was shooting very consistently and shooting a lot of points in practice. Like deltas were almost, this is what's weird, deltas in practice were almost not a thing. Kind of going into that, everything was really good. I decided, okay, we need to push the aggression. We're just not fast enough to be competitive. And so stuff kind of
like you
went
decided
off
that
the
based
rails
on
a
the
little
Governor's
bit.
Cup?
Yeah. So that was kind of a decision after that was coming into this match. So practice had been sloppy and hit and miss coming into this match. So it's not a huge surprise to me that this match was sloppy because practice has not been super great anyway. So that's not a huge surprise. What I'm trying to not do is just overreact too far in one direction because I had a poor match. That's what I'm trying not to do. But we'll see.
What you're doing in training is working, then what you're doing in training is working.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what you did or didn't do at the last match.
Right.
And if it isn't working, then you do something different. But you don't need to throw away your training because you did something different than your training in a match.
Right.
That's not a training problem, necessarily.
Yeah. That's just my history in the sport problem is being plenty prepared, but then you can't express yourself in an actual match scenario. And I'm just learning to get okay.
That sounds very unfamiliar. I bet there's very, very few people who will ever listen to this who struggle to express skills that they've earned in training in match environments. So.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no way they can relate to that.
I think you should
basically everyone not named Jeff Cawthon.
I mean, the difference is my training sucks. It's like you watch me train and you're like, damn, he's slow. That's the difference.
Yeah, but that's like you're running. You're like, yeah, I did a 77 400.
I'm gonna shave 10 seconds off of that. Just because Jeremy's in front of me, I'm gonna shave 10 seconds off of 400.
And then he does.
I told you having you there.
Yeah.
I told you having you there was worth 6 seconds on that 400, Jeremy. I told you.
And then the shoes were good for the other 4.
Exactly. The cheating, the cheating, and the oxygen. That was the problem with the mile. He ran out of oxygen. He sucked it all down at the 400. There was nothing left for him to take for the mile.
I hope the video that we put out expresses how much I was suffering in those moments.
Yeah,
It was rough.
I bet it does. I bet it does.
It's gonna be good. I
How
talked
about you,
to
Jeff?
our
What do you?
editor today, and he's pretty excited about the project. And so he was just gathering details, and he's going to be getting on that pretty soon. And we'll probably be getting a first draft of it before it's cut down. So we might work something special out to where maybe people in the Discord or something get to view the first draft before it actually gets released or something like that. But still a lot to figure out, but it's going to happen. It's finally going to happen. That's exciting.
It is. It is very exciting. Yeah, and then last stuff to cover, limited. We did predictions for limited.
Yeah,
My buddy really let me down because I knew he had an open gun. I knew he had gotten it, and he still told me he was shooting limited at this match because I asked him specifically because I didn't want to make predictions, and then he shoot open because he is going to shoot open nationals. I'm talking about Bob Crow, and so I had predicted him second in limited, and then we show up at the Barn Dominium and he pulls an open gun out, and I didn't want to talk to him for the rest of the weekend because
Luckily,
of that.
you still fixed it for him.
Yes, and I still. Oh, that's the other thing. I fixed. I fixed three different guns. I fixed 3 different guns Saturday night between our 2 match days. One being Jeff's. I fixed his slide stop. I fixed John McClane's thumb safety, and then I had to fix a pretty new open gun that the comp was just loose on the gun. It wasn't attached properly in any form or fashion. So
I still don't know why you didn't fix Jeff's gun for him.
Right.
Look.
Wow, it's a hammer following. No idea what happened, Jeff. Here, let me go to the safe table and work on that some more.
Yeah.
So my gun was locking back. The round was
prematurely.
Yeah, I was locking back prematurely, like when there was rounds still in the gun. So the rounds were pushing up the slide lock, and thankfully we did bring along Reid Custom Gunsmithing to work on all our race guns while at the match because we're that big a deal.
Yeah,
we brought like a cabin gunsmith, and he did it pro bono, so that was cool.
Are you sure you just haven't got the bill yet?
Yeah, open your mail, bud. There's an invoice.
Billing is at the end of the month. That's when we handle those. That minimum service fees is rough. It's real rough.
That's the problem with a good gunsmith is once they walk in the door, you're already out $100.
That's right. So I got to fix several guns at that match. I was exhausted by day 2 just from having to take care of everybody else's issues and problems. But
true.
The winner of limited was not Joey Sauerland. He has won every area match in limited up to this point, and he did not win this one. He was second. The winner was Gianni, which Jeff, you picked him number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Gianni, you picked him 3. You picked Sauerland second, and you picked Scott Brown to finish first.
I did.
Scott had gun problems again. Scott just needs to, I hope he's listening, but Scott, he needs to get his equipment under wraps, and get that figured out, because that's just a constant issue for him. Is getting that stuff to work. And it's holding him back, which is unfortunate. I picked John Browning third, Bob Crow second, Joey Sauerland first, and I got John Browning correct in third. Sauerland was second, and Gianni was first, which was a huge. It's that's interesting because our sport is such a big turnaround. This was not a match that I thought Gianni would have shot well. because of all
Yeah.
the distance and the accuracy required. Whereas what Potato has said about Area 1, which was a close-in match that was more hosey, less technical shooting, I would have thought that's the match that Gianni's going to shoot really well. And I think Sauerland beat him by like 8% at Area 1, if I'm remembering correct.
That would be big. 8%?
It was a pretty big jump from what I'm remembering. Potato, are you looking that up?
I can. I wasn't, but I can.
Oh.
So at this point, do we think that is Joey
7.51%?
Okay, so I was close.
Billy looked it up.
Is Joey a more ragey type shooter than Gianni, do we think? I haven't seen him shoot.
I have not seen him shoot at all either, but points shot at Area 1 was really good. And I think his points shot even here was good. Gianni was actually fairly sloppy. He just kept him on target and was quite a bit faster, from what I remember looking at scores. So, but yeah, that was very interesting. It makes the limited discussion more interesting going into nationals. Maybe, I guess, I don't know. It would be kind of interesting if Sauerland had basically had won out all the way until nationals. That would have been pretty interesting to see. But yeah, it was really close between the top three. Were all really close at Area 3. So wanted to mention that since we had done our predictions. None of us got first place right. So we'll try to be better next time.
Well, in fairness, it's just the two of you all.
That's true.
I would have been
Gianni,
also wrong, but I didn't get the chance to be wrong, and so I want the record to reflect that.
What would your top three have been if you had picked?
I would have picked Joey to win, and I would have picked Browning to be second and Gianni to be third.
Yeah.
So Gianni won 6 stages.
6
and
of
Joey
13.
won 1 stage. He won 1 stage.
Yeah, it's
winning
kind of wild.
stages is a really good way to win matches.
It can help.
Sometimes it works.
The only other thing that I would add is this match, it didn't have a ton of 32-round stages, but they were almost all like 26 to 30. There was one bay that had 2 small short courses in it, and I think the match would have been way better if we had taken away 2 more of the big stages and had 2 more bays with 2 small stages in it. Because I thought their short courses were pretty good. They were interesting, but it's just kind of sometimes nice to have hey, here's a short course. This is pretty straightforward on how to do it. Just can you do that? Just a really kind of small sample size. I think the match would have been well served to have 2 more bays of short courses in it. So I wish they had done that from that standpoint. Otherwise, the stages were fine.
It's also a nice way to kind of break it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because like at this match, it seemed like the one side, like 1 through 4, 1 through 5, like pretty long courses, pretty difficult shooting, very mentally taxing side of the range. And then the other side was a bit more straightforward, easier. That's where some of the little shorter ones were. There weren't any, technically there weren't any short courses, were there? I don't think there. That would be like 15 rounds or less, something like that, right?
12 and under.
12.
IPSC is 12 and under for a short course.
Yeah, so technically there were no short courses, I don't think.
Yeah, because you had 14 and 13. They were both would be medium courses in both USPSA and IPSC.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're using that metric, then yeah. But yeah, if you had like some short ones to break up those big ones down at the other end, it would have felt a little bit better from my perspective. I'm not an expert on those things, but from my perspective, that would have been nice.
There's pretty cool things you can do with short courses too, where it's not just pure execution where everyone does the same thing, but you can make people make a difficult choice even with 11 rounds. It's like, hey, do I want to enter really aggressively on this tight no-shoot partial, or do I want to exit really aggressively on this steal? And you have to do one of them, but you don't have to do both. And so you can set up scenarios in an 11-round stage where people have to do something they don't want to do, that they're uncomfortable doing, and then let them separate on that.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And that, if we could, like those first 4 stages 1 through 4 or 1 through 5, it would have been pretty nice to have a couple of short courses shoehorned in there because, it was a bit of a beat down, those first stages 1 through 5 there for sure. So, I agree with that.
13 stages, 329 rounds. I know round count doesn't mean much, but that's 25 rounds a stage, right?
Yeah.
That's a long. Yeah.
It was.
You guys got anything else on the match? Area 3 questions, concerns, call outs?
It's going to be Minnesota next year, right?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
That's the rumor I've heard. It's not going to be Grand Island. This will be the first time since I've been shooting that it hasn't been in Grand Island. There was zero representation for Hornady at this match. Normally, Hornady sends them like a truckload of stuff, and what I heard is they got like a couple boxes. Like normally, because we were hoping to, it was actually a missed opportunity for them because I had specifically told Cliff, our videographer, hey, normally there's a big Hornady sign, there'll be a big Hornady banner. Like if we can have some sort of B-roll of that, just like going past that we could kind of help promote like the match sponsor in our video without, it just be B-roll type stuff, then we could send that to Hornady and say, hey, like we made this video and so we just appreciate you guys supporting the match and all that sort of stuff. None of that was there. There was like, I was looking for like a Hornady banner and I didn't find it. Maybe there was one somewhere, but I never found one anywhere. So I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin for, hey, it's not going to be at Grand Island anymore because Hornady is there in Grand Island. That's why it has always been there, because they've supported the match so well. And since they didn't support it very much this year, I think it's like, well, we might as well take it somewhere else. So it's kind of a bummer. And I don't know what precipitated them not wanting to support the match like they have traditionally. I just don't know that. But then there's a little bit more drama at the match. Area 4 director claims to not know rules, but so he got DQ'd because he switched guns. He was shooting a gun for some reason. He switched guns, but he did not notify the range master or anybody that he switched guns, and he shot like a couple stages with the gun he had switched to, and so then that's a DQ. Like you have to let RM know. You have to go make sure your new gun's legal, and if you've been through chrono, you have to re-chrono and all that sort of stuff. He failed to do any of those things, which again, Mel doesn't seem to care that what the rules are, that the rules just don't apply to him and he doesn't have to do that. And so he blew up and yelled at people, and I think he shoehorned himself back into the match for a stage or two, and then he got taken back out of the match after that. I don't know a whole lot more than that, other than if you're area director, follow the freaking rules. And then if you get DQ'd, take it like a man and be professional. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I think you said it well. Mel just he doesn't know and doesn't care about the rules. I mean, I think he showed us that repeatedly, so I think we can say that with confidence.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, there are some people for whom the rules simply do not apply.
Yeah. And then the other drama that came out of there was a DQ of a shooter for a 180 violation, and he's made it a bigger thing because he's taken it to social media and posted stuff. And look, I've seen the video. Did he break it? I don't know. But look, if you're running left to right or right to left, no matter what, if you're going to pump the gun and swing it down like by your side, then I'm sorry, you're putting an RO in a very tough situation to make a 180 call in a position that have zero reason to do that. Maybe you didn't break the 180, but you had zero reason to be anywhere near the 180 with your gun at that point. It didn't help your shooting. Not going to make you faster. You're just slinging a gun around. So
Yeah.
There was a guy on the Discord, and he's pretty new, and I'm not going to call him out by name, but he said, well, he might have been at 181, but he didn't put anybody in danger. There was it wasn't unsafe at all, and so like the RO shouldn't make that call. And I'm sorry, but that thought process is entirely wrong. The 180 is the absolute maximum for like what is safe. You should never even get close to the 180 unless a bad stage design forces you to shoot a target near the 180. Otherwise, you do everything you can to be way away from it, because we all know the 180 call is subjective. Like it is.
Yeah.
Like there's no way around it. We cannot fix that. We cannot make it unsubjective, but it's also one of the most necessary safety rules in our sport. So if you know it's subjective and you know it's necessary, and you're a GM shooter, like you're trying to like claim that you're one of the best shooters in the country, then have enough control over your gun to not even get close to the 180. Like, be obvious about it. Don't put it right on the line.
And that's the key, man. You gotta be obvious. You gotta be obvious about it. And like arm pumping, fine. Okay, it's fine. But if you're running parallel to the back berm and your gun is on the uprange side of your body, pumping beside your body, not a good idea. That's an incredibly difficult call, even if you're confident in it. Just keep it downrange. Like it is so easy in that situation to keep the gun downrange.
Right.
It's easy in that position. It's honestly easy going either direction. So make it obvious. It's easy to make it obvious. And your arm pump, like, what's that saving you? You could probably gain that time somewhere else and stay in the match.
Right.
I don't know. So I've been victimized several times this year by high quality, high resolution match photographers, which as a general rule I'm opposed to, because they stand right on the 180, and they can see everything you're doing, and it shows up on film, and nobody else can see what you're doing. Well, that one they can't, I know, but I can afterwards, and so can everybody else who scrolls through the match photos. And it's changed how I'm doing certain things in dry fire. It's like, wow, I look really, really sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. And like, so I break grip to reload. It's just how I've always reloaded, to get a really positive press on the mag release. Doesn't matter on the gun, doesn't matter the grip size, I break grip. So when I break grip, my finger curls. And so it curls and it floats in front of the trigger guard. You put a camera on the 180, you can't tell depth. It's in there. You put a camera behind me, you can see it's outside of the trigger guard. It's like, all right, I'm just going to start doing this. Right? Like, it doesn't... It's a matter of minutes for me to train to do this. There's no time saving doing that. That's just what I've always done. But then, like, I sort of see it on film, and it's like, wow, that looks awful. Like, you take that from the side, it sure looks like that guy's reloading his gun every time, with his finger on the trigger. So, I mean, it's things like that where once you become aware of it, you can change it. But
so you have the option. You can get belligerent.
The same thing.
Yeah. You can be belligerent and say, I never broke it. I didn't have my finger in the trigger. I didn't do that. Or you can just say, hey, I'm going to make this call easy for the ROs to not take me out of the match. Because once they've said...
And I know the really awful looking photograph, I know because I have video from another angle, it is not in there. But it really looks like it. And if there'd been an RO instead of a photographer there, they would have been 100% right based on what they can see to DQ me. Although normally we only do fingers if they're audible. We don't normally do them when they're visual.
Yeah, and like once an RO says stop for a safety violation, you're out of the match. Like you're not. You can pitch a fit, you can do whatever. you're not coming back in. Like that's percentage wise.
I mean, I've never seen anybody come back in. So
I've seen it twice now, but not many. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about like one or two the whole time I've been in the sport. Like so once it says stop, like you're out. Like sorry, but you're out. And so yeah, do what Potato's doing. Make it obvious that your finger's not in the trigger guard or that your muzzle's pointed down range. Like that should be your first goal. Then be fast. Be safe, then be fast. If your goal is to be safe and then figure out, hey, if it's sketchy enough, then no, I'm not. No, your first goal is to be safe and for everybody to be able to go home. So there's Jeremy's rant's over.
Yeah, well, I would say
subscribe for more Jeremy rants.
Yes,
we can send them to your phone.
Yeah,
more than anything, I think like this situation and this call and the controversy and the blow up on the internet and everything, it should really just be like a call to action to competitors. Like, don't put yourself in that situation. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that wasn't a DQ or that was. Like, honestly, I don't really care at this point. But you should take that information and be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't arm pump when I'm going this direction. Or if I do arm pump, maybe keep the gun down range and in front of my body over here. So use that as information to tweak your game so you can keep shooting and you can win matches.
Yep.
That's all.
I agree fully. So well guys, it has been a long podcast. Thanks for the chat, guys, and thank you everyone for listening. Shooters Connection did sponsor this video, as with all our videos, so please go buy all your stuff from Shooters Connection. They've got everything you need. They sponsor tons of matches. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you on YouTube comment section. I try to respond to those as best I can. And join the Discord. Mm-hmm. It is a little bit of money, but we actually are trying to put that, like this video that we've talked about making, that's where all that money has gone into. So the more people that if you want to help support the video, then you can do that simply by joining the Discord. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you if you have any questions or anything like that. We are happy to help.
And shout outs from the Discord this week from Jay Hudlin. He said, shout out to myself for motivation to build a new open gun. We'll be shooting a single stack in the meantime. So I suggested that maybe he just not finish the open gun.
Yeah.
But, we'll see what happens there. Shout out to Billy McScrublord, a.k.a. Mac and Bood on Instagram. I think he likes Joel Park or something. So go check him out.
Yeah.
Man, Joel Park gets more shout outs on here than anybody. Shit.
I think, yeah, Joel needs to start paying for a subscription. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think that's all I got. Did we miss anything, Jeremy?
I mean, probably, but it's late. I'm tired now.
Potato, did we miss anything?
Good.
Oh.
Thank you for joining us once again, Potato. So,
yes. That was a long
train hard, and we'll talk to you all later.
Peace.
Connection also sponsors over 100 of your matches every single year. So when it comes to finding everything you need to compete as a beginner or a seasoned grandmaster, Shooters Connection is the only name you need to know. Online at shootersconnectionstore.com.
Welcome back, finally, after a bit of a hiatus to the Hit Factor podcast. I'm